Tableau is emerging as one of the hottest trends in business intelligence for the year 2020. Now, this service has been gaining momentum in markets and in companies big and small. Hence, the careers in Tableau are uber in. But one domain which it contributes to majorly is data science. Hence, this tutorial is mostly going to focus on Tableau for data science, or how does Tableau contribute to a data science solution and the steps for doing so. But before we begin, let's look at our agenda for today. So we are going to start out with introducing you to Tableau. We're going to talk about what is Tableau and a little bit about the various services. Next, we are going to move on to our problem statement. Now, the first problem statement is based upon the sample superstore, which you get automatically if you download the Tableau desktop. Here we are going to look at the profits of said company and the products which bring in profit or loss, and analyze what can be done in the future to ensure pure profit. Next, our problem statement is going to be based off of the transcripts of TED Talks from the year 2014 through 2017. Here we are going to find out what themes or words make an effective TED Talk in terms of numbers. And finally, after both of these, we are going to conclude the session. Let's get started. So, what is Tableau? Now, a lot of you might think Tableau is just a visualization tool, but actually it is not. From connection to collaboration, Tableau is one of the most powerful, secure, and flexible end-to-end data analytics platform for the data you have generated as an individual or as a company. It is designed for the ease of use of an individual but scaled up for an enterprise level. And it is a business platform which turns your data into insights that drive action. You can prepare your data for analysis with a tool called Tableau Prep. You can use powerful drag and drop analytics using Tableau Desktop. And then you can share that data and insights using Server or Tableau Online. Then just wait and watch your data-driven decisions spread across the world. One of the more uncommonly touched potential of Tableau lies in data science. Its use is not just for creating traditional graphs and charts. You can mine actionable insights thanks to the plethora of features it offers to you. And hence, in this session, I'm going to take two problem statements to show you the potential of Tableau in data science. Now, the problem statement is as goes. It is the January of 2016 and the CEO of Superstore is looking to bolster business for the upcoming year. The finance team has noticed that there were profit problems for some inventory categories during 2015. So here is what you're tasked to do. First, you've been tasked with figuring out which item or items have had profit problems multiple years in a row, both the net and year over year, where the problems are happening and why. Second, you also need to visualize this data so that multiple teams, including leadership, sales, finance, marketing, and manufacturers, can view the results and understand the data quickly. So here's what you must do. You need to connect and analyze Superstore's data from the year 2012 to 15. You need to create a variety of views to explore the data while calling out insights along the way. You're going to then analyze the business profits and discover where and why profit loss is happening. And finally, you're going to summarize the data on a visual dashboard to submit to the company. Now, through this exercise, what you should hope to learn is one, how to connect data using the Web Data Connector, how to analyze your data, how to visualize your data, to join tables in Tableau and run table calculations, to use highlighters, to use filters, formatting, hierarchy, aggregations, and geocoding, through which you are going to be creating various visuals using Tableau, general data analytical skills through dashboarding and publishing as well. Now for that, I'm going to move to my demo machine. So here's our demo machine. Here is my workbook open. I'll be using the public version of Tableau as it is the free version, and I'd encourage all of you to do the same, because you might get all the theory in the world, but you would not learn how to use the service if you do not use the service. And a great starting point is to use the free version of Tableau. So you know what you're getting into before investing into this option. So first of all, let's start by connecting to our data. I have already made a file where I have saved the Superstore, the two different files from the Superstore. You can also connect to the Superstore. You can just go to connect to data, and here in save data sources, automatically you have these two data sources, which are sample Superstore and world indicators. But there is a reason why I have downloaded the file, which you will see in some time. So instead of selecting it from here, I'll go up to Microsoft Excel as the type of file which I'm going to connect to. As you can see at my desktop, I have made a file called Tableau for Data Science. Here I have two data sets, Global Superstore Orders 2016 and Returns 2016. So I'm going to connect to Global Superstore Orders first, and I'm going to open it via Tableau Public. Okay. So, arguably, one of the most powerful things you will be asked to do as a data analyst is joining tables of data to expand your analytical capabilities. Now, that's the reason I did not connect directly to the sample data source to show you how joins work. So, first of all, I am going to add the other table as well. So, here is returns. All right. So let's join these two tables by dragging them into the view. Yes? So first of all, I'm going to drag orders here and people to union with the orders because that's one particular data set. And then I'm going to go to returns, and the table it has global superstore returns that I am going to join with these two tables here. Pretty simple. Now, this might take some time for some of you. For me, it joins really quickly because I have made this join before. Now, Tableau has defaulted to an inner join based on order IDs. I'll show you right now. If I click on the join icon, you can see it has the inner join selected. Now, this is what Tableau has automatically defaulted to. So an inner join basically includes records where the join fields match in both tables. In this example, only orders that have been returned will be included from both the tables. However, we want to see all the orders regardless of whether or not they were returned. Therefore, what I would like to use is left join instead. So I'm going to click on left join and then close the window, and that updates my data set. So congratulations, you've successfully connected and completed your first join. So let's go back to our worksheet. All right, you can see a bunch of things on your left. Now, like most software, Tableau uses some very specific terminology. It may be very useful to quickly review these terms before proceeding, as you've already seen a few, and they will continue to be used throughout the lesson. For people who are beginners, I'm going to break this down for you a little bit. So this particular sheet that you see where you're going to work on, this is your workbook. Now, this is the Tableau file that holds your visualizations, and it usually does so in formats such as .twb or .twpx. Now, what you just saw earlier is the data source. Let me just open it real quick. Okay, so this is your data source. It's basically this table compiled in Tableau. Now, this is your data source. It's basically nothing more than a table compiled in Tableau. Now, this is the source of data that you will be using for your visualizations. Now, these data sources can be created from a single source or multiple sources, as we did, by joining or unioning. Haven't you already done this? Now, with your newly gained experience, let's go back to the sheet. Now, connection is the process of stacking Tableau on top of a data source so that it can be visualized. We've done this too. We have connected to our data. Now, that could be a wide range of connectors like Excel files, text files, Amazon Dropbox, Google, IBM, MySQL, Salesforce, etc. Earlier in this exercise, you've already connected to Excel files through the same process. Now we have sheets, which are single tabs in the workbook that you're currently using. As you can see, sheet 1. Now this will hold your visualization, and most of the analysis and building takes place within the sheet. Then you have a view or a viz. Now this is the area where all the magic happens. This is the workspace where visualizations are developed. Apart from that, you also have dimensions and measures here on your left. They're basically data field types located on the left hand of the screen that are often categorized or ordered numerically. Now measures are basically values of things, as you can see: profit, quantity, sales, discount, shipping cost, so on and so forth. Dimensions are basically attributes like date, time, department IDs, so on and so forth. Now let me just drag this here really quickly. Okay, now this blue thing you see here, I should be calling it throughout the tutorial as a pill. Now pills are what most users call dimensions and measures when they are dragged into the view, because they look like a pill. No other explanation. Now, since I dragged it from the dimension, it's colored in blue. If I would have dragged it from measures, it would be green. Now, this particular box where it rests upon is called the shelf. Now, it is a designated container for housing these data fields, and that's it. Among these fields, you will find discrete and continuous, which are terms for describing these data fields. Now, as the name suggests, discrete means that there are a finite set of values, while continuous means there is no limit. In most cases, dimensions are discrete, whereas measures are continuous. Now, another word you will be hearing a lot is aggregation. Now, aggregation is a word in the world of data and is basically any process in which information is gathered and expressed in a summary form. Now remember, measures are always aggregated in Tableau. Understand this. It'll help you conceptualize the visualization of the 5 primary aggregation types in Tableau, which are sum, average, median, count, and count distinct. Now, one last thing you need to be aware of is the undo button, or more historically known as the hotkey Control+Z, can be almost used infinitely here. So when you make a mistake or you need to go back a click, utilize this magnificent button. All right, are you ready to continue to the next part? So let's get to work and begin visualizing some data. Now, basically what I'm going to do is provide you with the first step. So it's a few tips on data visualization and visual formatting for a beautiful end result. So we already have a sheet to view the data. And basically, we are going to start out by creating a sheet to build a year-over-year profit visualization based on category growth by month. So I'm going to double click the profit measure. So basically what you're viewing now is the sum of all profits, which, let me hover over this, will give me a number. So it is $1,467,457. So looking at the number is usually a good place to start as an analyst, as you will likely come across many situations where the numbers are off. Now, this can lead to misleading analysis. So make sure you don't do that. So the next step will make more sense when we create a final dashboard, but we would want a sheet to look at the total profit as a foundational reference. So I'm going to drag this pill. As I had mentioned before, this is a green pill, which means it's a measures pill. So I'm going to drag it from here to the label mark. Next, let's just duplicate it and drag it to the color mark. Then you can click on Control and select the sum profit label and drag the copy to the color mark. Now let's use some revenue style coloring. So let's make it green for profit growth and red for profit loss. And this will be the color theme that we are going to use throughout the tutorial. Again, this will make more sense once we create a dashboard. You'll just have to trust me on this one then. So I'm going to click on color and then like edit colors. And we're going to pick this red green diverging from this automatic drop down. And I'm going to check on stepped color and make it up to 6. Select use full color range, click advanced, check center, and input 0. So basically what I did is just that I told Tableau to make my positive profit numbers green and my negative profit numbers red. So I'm going to apply and OK. Lastly, let's create a visual label for this number. So I'm going to click on the text mark box and it basically will give you the number. which is basically your total gross profit. And I'm also going to name the sheet as total gross profit. Okay, so you've just created a sheet, viewed some data, created a workbook color, palette or theme, and formatted some labels. These skills and setup will come handy throughout this tutorial. So let's continue to the next part. Let's look at profit problems. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what products are having profit problems by looking at the total profit and comparing it to the year over year percentage increase or decrease. So I'm going to go to a new sheet. I'm going to again double click the profit measures. I'm going to drag the order date as a column. Then I'm going to click on this plus sign here, and I'm going to also drag the year of order date pill to the color mark. Then I'm going to right click here and convert it from quarter to month. Now you're going to see two options, okay? Now the first part in this column is going to show you your quarter, month and day, and so will the second. The second is also going to show you your quarter, month and day. Now the thing is, the top one is the discrete option and the bottom is the continuous option. This example is going to require you to select the discrete option. So I have all my months together here in the same graph. So along with this, let's just learn how to run a quick table calculation to view the year over year profit growth. So I'm going to right click this sum of profit pills, go down to quick table calculation and click on year over year growth. Now compare this to the original profit that we had done. So I'm going to drag this sum of profit here. So now you have two graphs, one with the profit and one with the difference percentage in profit. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to drag the one with the table calculation to the tooltip mark. Now understand that when you hover any mark in the view, you will see the total profit and the percentage difference from the previous year. See, exactly like this. Finally, you can look at a gross profit and a year-on-year growth by category. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag this category dimension to the row shelf. Sorry, missed out on that one. Now with that, you can see all the subcategories and their profit, year-on-year profit, month of order date, so on and so forth. Now I'm going to name the sheet, let's say profit seasonality. Now before we move on, I'd like you to know that we have just created our first visualization. So welcome to the club. Conceptually, you just queried the data sheet to provide the sum of all profits based on the year that the profit was obtained from. You then ran a calculation on that profit data to determine the percentage of increase or decrease when comparing to the previous year. Now, before we continue, another useful tip is to format numbers the way they are meant to be displayed, especially if your data hasn't been curated very well, which is most of the time, by the way, let's be honest. Now, based on this data set, it looks like there are multiple currency formats in our measures column. So I am going to right click on profit, hover over, let's say, default properties, click on number format, currency custom, negative values. Now this is already at negative of 1234. Now this will save some confusion later. So now we could just repeat this process for sales and shipping cost. Now let's dive even deeper into this previous visualization as we are still looking for specific products that are having profit problems. Again, it's a very good idea to verify the numbers to make sense before diving into visual analysis. So let's create a sheet examining the profit over time by production category. So I'm going to right click on the profit seasonality sheet name and I'm going to duplicate it as a crosstab. So basically makes this easier to read by either clicking swap rows and columns button or using the hotkey Ctrl+W. Now I'm going to drag the category pill from the column shelf. Okay, so again, to remind you, that was Ctrl+W to swap rows and columns. Now basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the category pill from the column shelf down to the row shelf. Okay, now we're going to adjust fitting options to make viewing the data easier. We're going to right click on the sheet title and click on hide title. Next, we're going to click on the fitting drop down menu and change it from standard to entire view. Now you can notice any year-on-year profit problems in 2015. So let's see if we can spot them using the cross tab. So we drag profit from measures and take it over the color mark and right click on this to select quick table calculation and year over year growth. The default colors are hard to read and not aligned with our theme. So let's change this, go to edit colors. Where is our red green diverging? I'm basically going to do what I had done earlier and then click on OK. Let's enhance this visual to really call out our profit problems. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to change. Now this is a neat feature that allows you to highlight specific categories. So I'm going to rename the sheet as Profit Cross Tab. Now you've created another whiz in the process and started calling out visual insights. You can use your highlighter to hover over each of these to determine which has the worst year-on-year profit, the most negative difference for 2015. But you can see it through the colors, which are red already. So now basically I took the measure names out and automatically turned these into line graphs. Now based on the information we've dug so far, it looks like furniture has had the worst year-on-year profit comparison across the year. So we should probably figure out where and why these profit decreases are happening. So let's understand this via a map visualization to explore the world. Now this is also a good time to utilize this Show Me tab, which Tableau is so famous for. Now this Show Me provides you a multiple number of options, as you can see, for visualizing data, while also providing a recommendation based on the selected data or pills that you've used so far. So I'm again going to create a new sheet. Let's click on country. I'm going to click on country and then I am going to click on state using control. Now I'm going to click on show me in this top right, and you should see multiple options, but because we have geographical data selected, there's already a red box around a map symbol. So now I'm going to drag profit to the color mark, click on the color mark and edit my colors. I'm going to do the same thing since we are keeping up with the theme. Now uniformity is a big thing when it comes to Tableau. I think it's uniformity is very important when you're visualizing data to keep a consistent theme so as to not confuse your viewer. Now keeping the color consistent will basically help your end dashboard look unified. Now I'm going to drag sales to this size mark. Okay. Now we're going to create some filters so that we can hone in on our data. So I'm going to drag order date to the filters card and select years from the option and then next and all and okay. Now I'm going to right click on this order date and I am going to show filter. Now you should see filters on your right sidebar like so. Now I'm going to click on the drop down arrow and at the top of it, I'm going to click on multiple values drop down. This is basically going to help the aesthetics of your final dashboard. Now I'm going to repeat this process with category and dimensions as well. Now I'm going to name the sheet Profit and Sales Map. Nicely done. Now you've just created a map visualization with filters and analyzed data at a deeper level. Now we can see where we have negative profit by year and category with the use of newly created filters. Feel free to navigate around the map, explore the map tools and adjust filters. Are low sales numbers the reason for furniture profit loss in 2015? It doesn't look like it, but it's hard to say. Let's dig deeper. We now need to look at specific items within each category and find any that have negative profit 2 years in a row. Now let's start by duplicating the sheet. Now the benefit of duplicating previously created sheets is that filters, calculations, and the coloring will carry over. So I'm going to right click on this and click on duplicate. So I'm just going to remove this. Now let's drill into the categories. Drag category and subcategory from the dimensions to the rows. Now we're going to drag order date to columns. We're also going to take profit to the columns and take year-on-year growth. Then we changed our sum of sales from size to tooltip. Now, based on this data, it looks like there's a hierarchical relationship between category and subcategory of products. So now I'm going to create a hierarchy of category followed by the subcategory and product name so that you can drill into the category pill in the rows. Now you can browse through specific subcategories and view both the gross profit for consecutive years and the difference percentage in profit from the previous year of the order date. You can find all the subcategories that have both net profit, loss, and negative year-on-year difference for the past 2 years. And since we can't calculate year-on-year with our first year, but we also can't remove it from the view as the following year relies on 2012 data, let's hide the 2012 column. So I'm going to right click on this and click on hide and change standard to entire view in the fitting drop. So I'm going to name the sheet profit by subcategory. So with this sheet, you just learned to create a bar graph and learned how to create hierarchies. Now you can see profit for all items being sold, browse through each subcategory and spot any that have bought both negative net profit and year-on-year growth for 2 years in a row. If you've done this correctly, your visualization should help this stand out immediately. Do you see it? You can see this ginormous block of red right here. So we know our stuff is working. And we see that this is furniture. So why are we here? Now that we know there's a major profit problem with tables in the furniture category, we know that sales is not the problem. I wonder if it has to do anything to do with shipping cost, returns, or discounts. So let's take a look by creating a scatter plot. So I'm going to duplicate this sheet again because we will need the filters, and I'm going to clear the column shelf and row shelf. So I'm going to clear both of these shelves. So now we can format and examine our variables that are sales, discounts, returns, shipping cost by customer ID and subcategory. So if you haven't done so already, format discounts in measures as a percentage. And we are doing no decimal places. Ready, set, visualize. Now we're going to add the subcategory filter and show and format it like the year or the date thing. And drag the customer ID and subcategory from dimensions to detail mark. Now we're going to drag discount and shipping cost to the detail mark as well. And you can scan through the entire place according to your customer ID. You can use the tooltip to spot any correlations with regards to the aforementioned variables like so. Now there may be definitely an impact from shipping costs, but there's something else that seems to be bringing the profits down, and those are the discounts. Since Tableau has automatically aggregated discounts as a sum, but discounts are more of a stable attribute, we are first going to want to format them into an attribute. Now we are going to drag it to detail, columns, and swap axes. And now we have heat maps by subcategory. Now attributes are sometimes difficult to conceptualize, but Tableau defines an attribute as an expression that returns the value of a given expression if it only has a single value for all rows in the group. Otherwise, it displays an asterisk. In this exercise that we just did, each subcategory item has a unique discount percentage and will therefore return that specific percentage. If we left discount as a sum aggregate, now Tableau would attempt to sum the discount percentage together, giving us inaccurate information. So basically, I'm going to rename this discounts affecting profits. Now that was intense work. You just created an in-depth visualization to assess variables impacting profit, learned more about aggregations, all while solving a business problem through visual analytics. It's almost over, except for one really fun and important step, the final dashboard. Now that your analysis is complete, we are going to create a dashboard to display these results. It can be challenging to get all these sheets into areas you want them to be in, and the directions are a simple way of organizing this dashboard. So feel free to create your own. I'm going to click on New Dashboard and I'm going to rename it as Profit Analysis or something. I'm going to click on Size drop down arrow and change. So I've changed it to Automatic. All right. Now this will basically allow your dashboard to resize automatically to any monitor. First, let's drag the horizontal object or container to view, and then drag another. I'm going to put seasonality into this. Bring this in, and I'm going to put the profit cross tab here. Bring it down, and profit by subcategory here, and bring it up. I'm going to delete this. And the reason I've done that is because cross highlighting is possible in Tableau. So, okay, let's clear this also. Yeah, this looks so much better. And here you have all of your filters as well. So basically we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sheets, various filters and keys on this dashboard. I left out that totally random total gross profit sheet that I created in the beginning because it would not contribute to this dashboard. Now, if you would like to publish this dashboard, you can easily click on the server drop-down and use the option Publish Workbook. With that, you have created a what, where, and why dashboard to answer a business question and solve a data problem. Congratulations! Now, if you have successfully followed along from start to finish, you have experienced the world of data analytics and visualization. Tableau Public also has daily competitions for what is known as Whiz of the Day, and you could check out some really interesting data sets across the world through it. With that, let's move on to our next problem. Now, taking what we understood in problem statement number 1, let me show you what can be done using Tableau in the next problem statement. Basically, we are trying to find out that can we use the tools of natural language processing and statistical models to understand why some TED Talks work to see how persuaders persuade? Or can we use transcripts from TED Talks to find out text features that predict persuasive ratings by users? Now, the purpose of this project is to understand and emulate the content and linguistic style of persuasive talks. Now, this project is inspired from two people that I found on Tableau Public, one by the name of Ronak Banik and Visualization by Owen Temple. This is basically a natural language processing project to reveal linguistic features that predict what is persuasive. So I web scraped every TED Talk transcript and its metadata through 2017 and then used decision trees, random forest regressors, and linear regression to find the key predictors of persuasive ratings by viewers. For professionals who need to communicate and influence others, this will provide some insight on how to speak to persuade. So basically, I found out that the change in negative and positive emotion words across the talk and the speaker's use of key social pronouns like I and we made a big impact on persuasive ratings. My analysis also resulted in a few important categories of words that make up linguistic signature of persuasion and a classifier that you can use to predict the persuasiveness of your own text. Whether or not you ever give a TED Talk yourself, and no matter what your job title is, developer, data scientist, or recruiter, your job is ultimately to communicate and influence. So the words you say matter. Whether it's a morning stand-up meeting, a training, or a conference call, you need to persuade your clients and sometimes even inspire. And what better way to learn how to persuade and inspire than from the masters of persuasion, the TED speakers? So I have to give in, I'm a TED Talks enthusiast and I've watched one a day for almost 6 years now. And I noticed that some talks are very persuasive. They change your day and maybe your life. Some others fall flat and are completely forgettable. What we're trying to find out is, can we use the tools that are available to us to understand why some talks work and to see how persuaders persuade. Our job here, no matter the title, is to influence and persuade others. So can we use successful TED Talks to learn how to become more persuasive communicators? So for the solution, first, as I said, you have to scrape the transcripts of TED Talks, followed by using natural language processing techniques and linguistic inquiry and word count LIWC module to analyze those transcripts. The embedded models include decision trees, random forest regressors, and linear regression to find text categories with statistically significant relationships to TED.com's user ratings and to the number of times the talk has been viewed. So let's move on to our hypotheses. So a more persuasive or inspiring talk is related not just to what people are saying, but how they are saying it. So when I say what people are saying, I'm talking about content words like job, brains, computer, something like that. How they are saying it are emotion words and function words. How can be two ways. Function words as in talking about the subject matter. Is it I, you, we, or what? Emotion words are how they are saying it, happily, sadly, angrily. Emotion words basically are the ones that use positive and negative emotions in the shape of hero's journey that will be more persuasive and inspiring. Now, function words are basically socially powerful words like I, we, you, what, where, how will be predictive of persuasive and inspiring ratings. Talks that use I, me, my more will be less persuasive. Talks that use we, us, and pronouns like that will be more inspiring. Now let's talk a little bit about the tech stack. Now the tech stack consists of a couple of technologies, including Python, where we are using its various libraries to count the number of words from the talk transcripts. We're using linguistic inquiry and word count, which is a software package which takes as input a particular talk's transcripts and returns a percentage of words from the talk that fall into one or more of the particular categories in the LIWC library. Then we have the natural language toolkit for running our natural language processing techniques. Apart from that, we are also using scikit-learn, HTML, CSS, Flask, Heroku, and finally for data analysis and visualization, we are using Tableau. So we are basically going to be focusing more on that. So let's move on to our demo machine. All right, so here is what we found out. First of all, let's look at these two graphs. These two graphs, the green one and the red one, mostly represent emotion words across all talks. The first one, the green one, shows the positive emotion by transcript quarter, and the second one is the negative emotion by transcript quarter. So this is the basic dashboard that we achieved. Now, what can we take from this? First thing, we understand that text features were associated with higher persuasive ratings by TED.com users. So basically what you say, risk words such as danger and doubt, moral words such as care, fair, and loyal, and money words such as audit, cash, and owe, and how you say it, like negative emotion words like hurt, ugly, nasty, negate words like no, not, never, question words like how and what, and focus on present words like today, is, now, were associated with higher persuasive ratings. Now, linguistic signature, as you can see in this graph, now we understand that text features exist that were associated with higher persuasive ratings by TED.com users. For example, what you say. So it's 0.496 on risk words such as danger or doubt, a moral word such as fair or loyal or justice, and money words such as audit or cash. They are words of what you say. The second aspect is how you say it. Negative word emotions like hurt, ugly, nasty, interrogative words such as how, when, what are basically how you say it. Now, consistent with a hero's journey framework that calls for many challenges in the course of a narrative, increased use of negative emotion words like sad, angry, depressed, and frustrated across all quarters of the talk were related to higher persuasive ratings by TED.com users. All right, let's just take the most persuasive talk, the most highly rated talk. Why gun violence can't be our new normal. Now, as we can see on this graph of the linguistic signature, it's consistent with a storytelling framework where there is an increased number of negative words as well as quantitative words. It also has a fair amount of average interrogative words and very few number of risk, moral, and money words. One thing we understand for sure, we don't know what can make a good TED talk, but we definitely know from this graph what are the few aspects, what are the few words or emotions you can use to directly affect the statistic of that particular TED talk. Now, a further improvement on the accuracy of this model could be a Sublime Text Classifier model. You can expand the analysis to find the text features that predict more user comments online. Now, if we take the rearranged version of the same dashboard and I select, say, this talk in random. So if we pick up a topic such as a critical look at geoengineering against climate change, you realize it furthers our estimate that the use of more negative emotion words has resulted in it being a more persuasive talk. You can see how less the positive emotion words are. In the first quartile, second quartile, it's even less, the third quartile, and the fourth quartile. Here, the average risk words in the linguistic signature has increased to 1.34 because obviously we are talking about climate change, which is a high risk subject. Along with that, we have more quantitative data along with an increase in interrogation words, which, considering the topic, is well justified. Concluding, I'd like to say that Tableau is not just an application for pretty graphs. It is capable of way more than that, as we saw today. It is capable of generating an insight using data aggregation and can act as a wonderful aid to data science solutions. With Tableau, you can harness the potential of your data and share it with the people who need that insight to further their business. It's basically about changing the way you think about your data. With that, I'd like to close this session. My name is Upasna. Thank you and have a great day.